Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. We're going to get rocking and rolling in today's training on finding federal opportunities. This training, we're going to be talking about how to find federal opportunities. In particular, I'm gearing it towards women-owned small businesses. But like everything I teach, the tips aren't unique to the group I'm focusing on that day. Really, the tips are just part of the process, and any business can follow it going along. But today I'm going to talk about how to find opportunities. One of the things I just wanted to start with is understanding why you want to find federal opportunities. I'm a big fan of not just believing we all understand the same thing, and I'm also a big fan of stopping for a second and going, well, can we just state the obvious? Because if it's so obvious, then no one's going to mind if we restate it, just make sure we're on the same page. But why do we want to find federal opportunities? Why are you here today? Right? Opportunities lead to sales. Sales lead to revenue, and revenue leads to growth. So if you want growth, it begins with the opportunities. We can stretch the process farther back, but if you don't have an opportunity in your pipeline that you're pursuing, you're not going to have sales, revenue, or growth. And that's why I'm doing the training today, is to really drive forward to help you achieve those growth goals you have, whether it's revenue or growing your company by the certain amount of people who are in it, or by growing the influence of your company within your community. It all begins with your ability to do that activity, going back through sales and opportunities. One thing I did want to point out today, especially as it relates to when we're talking about winning or finding opportunities for women-owned small businesses, the federal government, the SBA in particular, likes to give themselves a big pat on the back, a lot of credit for the fact that $24 billion went to women-owned small businesses in fiscal year 2022, as an example, right? We don't have all the data yet for 23. But in 2022, they like to give themselves credit for $24 billion going to women-owned small businesses. That means women-owned small businesses were the prime on those contracts. The thing that you have to remember is the truth behind the data. Less than 1% of all of that money, of all of those 300,000 plus opportunities, it was like 389,000 opportunities, awards. Of all of those, less than 1% were set aside to women-owned small business. And the reason I'm pointing this out to you is that you cannot sit back and wait for the government to hand it to you. You've got to go take it. I'm going to give you tips, processes on how to go take it, right? But you've got to remember that if you wait for the government or an agency to be able to set aside something to women-owned small business or to whatever your designation is, it's not going to happen. You need to go out and make it happen, and you can make it happen. And ironically, when you make it happen, those people on the other side, the contracting officer, et cetera, they'll be happy to go along the journey with you. So don't wait for things to happen. Let's go make them happen. And the way we're going to make them happening, or the way we're going to make it happen as it relates to today's training, is I want to just talk to you about the typical ways you can find opportunities, a refresher for most of us. And for some of you, it might be a couple of new ways. The second thing I want to cover down on is fundamental to finding opportunities is knowing what your slam dunk opportunity is. And basically that means one that we can win. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And after that, I want to talk about the value of strategic relationships to finding opportunities. You will find more opportunities that fit for your company through relationships than through a database, right? And so that's really important to track on. And the last thing I'm going to cover down on is the value of sources sought and RFI responses, and how you should be maximizing on your participation in the market research phase, not for the particular opportunity that you're responding to, but for all the future opportunities, right? Because today's training is about how do I find federal opportunities. One way, that fourth way that I'm going to talk about, is participating in market research. And I'll talk to you in depth when we get to that slide. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's a process. When you follow a process A to Z, you're going to have repeatable, predictable results. And that's what I want for you. Okay, let's talk about the typical ways of finding federal opportunities, in particular for women-owned small business. I want to talk about these 6 or 7 typical ways, and then I'm going to go in and show you one that is a little bit more unusual, but it's really a good way to go in. So the first one is sam.gov. This is where a lot of the federal opportunities get posted, right? It's the biggest drop of federal opportunities. you can go in there and learn about new opportunities. So sources sought, notices, and RFIs, and you can learn about RFPs that are already dropped. What you're really looking for in SAM, when you're thinking about finding opportunities, you want to be looking for sources sought, opportunities that are in the market research phase, so RFI or sources sought. I'll talk more about that in a minute. The second one is the Federal Procurement Database System or Data System. FPDS is where you can find the expiring contracts. Almost every single contract in the federal government, 98% or something, not the IC world, but almost all of the opportunities, when they're awarded, they get recorded in FPDS. This is the place you can go to find expiring contracts. As we go forward, I'll show you an example of pursuing expiring contracts, but this is perfect. When you're looking out in 2024, you want to be looking for opportunities that are expiring in 2024 or 2025 as you're filling your pipeline over the next 3-6 months. What are you working on? You should be working on opportunities that, if they're recompetes, meaning they've already been awarded once and they're going to be awarded again, you want to be tracking in FPDS opportunities that are expiring. I have whole trainings on how you go into each one of these and figure it out. If you're a sustaining member, by the way, I have a very detailed course in the library you can get access that I walk through and I show you each one of these using them. Okay, third one is GovWin and other tools. And so there's a lot of tools out there, but Dell Tech has a tool called GovWin, which is one of the most popular ones out there. But these tools really just go out to many different databases and pull all that information back in, right? So they're the mashup of information that's out there in the government. They're handy. They're really good for data research, right? They're not great for capture. Keep that in mind. But they're awesome for finding opportunities. Other tools might be the PTACs, right? I know they got a new name, but the PTACs, you could go in there and work with them, and they've got a way to send you opportunities on a regular basis that might fit you. So if you're not working with your PTAC counselor, go talk with them. And I get that they're called something else. So the fourth one is agency forecast. This is a perfect one when you have an agency that actually populates it well. Like DHS does a pretty good job. I'll probably show you in a second another one, but the Navy does a fairly good job. So there's agencies out there that do a good job with their forecast, and you can go in and see opportunities that are going to be dropping in the next 6, 12, 24 months. When you see those, you can begin to identify the opportunities that fit for your company. It also allows you to be able to pursue them through the forecast. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one here, I guess I could number these next time on the slides. The fifth one, advanced planning briefs. This is one of my all-time favorites because these tend to be around more real opportunities than what I see in the forecast. In the forecast, sometimes things get in and come out, and you're like, where'd they go? But when the government invests energy into creating, having industry days, et cetera, that's what an advanced planning brief to industry is. One way or another, the government is trying to communicate with industry. This is pretty good because you get to see teaming partners, other people who are interested in that agency. You get to meet bigger stakeholders. I did have this one example here that I wanted to share. So I just shared this morning on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with me and following me every day, even like 1 minute to just see what I post and see if it's relevant to you, but it's always government contracting. Anyways, I posted this morning, and this is a Navy Industry Day that they just did in October. I changed the slide a little bit from there. Looks good. But if I go forward really quick, let me just pop forward. So right here, it starts going into these different divisions, and you see opportunities that are out there. And you can see small business set aside, SBSA. You can see some that are not yet determined, so like TBDs. These are things, when you look at these, you start deciding, like I know companies that are bigger, and this is what's this, greater than 10 million, less than 50 million. So you need to be at a certain size to play at this level. But I know companies that are easily able to play in this level. Are they tracking on this opportunity? And so this is a great way to track opportunities, is just be looking at industry day slides, et cetera, that are coming out of the government. Let me get back to my slides. So the next one is agency industry days, vendor outreach sessions, other events. There's a lot of events out there where you can go and you start hearing about opportunities that are coming. You can go down to, I have a friend I go with to Air Force events to help them navigate their the Air Force events for looking for relationships in particular. But when you're down there, you can begin to hear about opportunities because you're talking with people. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. It's the relationships that you developed. But this idea of going to vendor outreach sessions, so DHS, I think, is getting ready to hold one here in December. There's a lot of these going on in the agencies. So if you know what agency you're going after, you can begin to make sure you're tracking on their events, and make sure you ask more and more questions about what other events are there than or what on their website than what's on their website. The last one I have here in this group are contract vehicles. You can just check into contract vehicles to hear about opportunities coming out. One of the downsides of many contract vehicles is you're just hearing about it at the last minute, but others like Seaport or Stars, right? They might have RFIs and sources sought dropping out there. If you're on GSA mass schedule of any sort, right, you can go in and be tracking opportunities in there. You can hear about not just the opportunities that are dropping, but you can hear about them that are coming out. So GSA does a ton of sources sought. And I think GSA is really stepping up their game to try to be the market research, door to industry for government agencies. So they're trying to be a service to the agencies for market research. So you really want to be tracking in GSA. If you haven't done this, go into GSA and begin to learn their tools, especially the tools that are the long range acquisition forecast or where they're doing industry days. Okay, so I wanted to walk you through USASpending, and I know I'm going fire hose. Just take a screenshot of this if you want. But I wanted to show you an example in USASpending as a way you can find opportunities for women-owned small businesses. And so I'm just at usaspending.gov. Hopefully you get familiar with this site, right? I'm going to go in. I click that button that says search. And what I'm looking for, right, I might go to 2023, but let me just look at I know what I want to do. Actually, if I just say, let's say 2020 and 2021. So I'm going to look at 2020, 2021. The award type I want are contracts. And you can come back to this later and watch this and see how I'm doing it, right? The next thing I'm looking for is this award amount. What I'm particularly looking for is, let's say 1 to 25 million. As a woman-owned small business, right? I'm really trying to help, in particular, companies that are doing $1 million plus. I want to look at $1 million to $25 million. So I want to look at contracts that are that big, but I want to see them. I want to see them awarded to women-owned small businesses as a prime contractor. That's what that recipient type means. It means whoever was the prime contractor, the recipient, they are a woman-owned small business. And so if I keep coming down for 1 second, I'm looking at the set-asides. I want to click on that guy. And if I come down, there's one right here at the bottom. It says no set-aside used. That's the criteria I'm looking for. Let me hit search and let me just remind myself of the criteria. Fiscal year, all contracts, women-owned small business, no set-aside. Oh, the last one I want to do is full and open. We'll come back to that 1 second. So here, 1,300 opportunities, but let me just change this last one to extent competed, full and open. What I'm basically trying to say is what opportunities, and let me hit search really quick, what opportunities went to women-owned small businesses as prime contractors, but were not set aside to women-owned small businesses. For me, this is perfect because I can go back to that acquisition shop and say, hey, we've already proven we can do this. You awarded it to another woman-owned small business. They can still compete. Set this aside. Even if it's a $20 or $50 million opportunity, you have proven that women-owned small businesses can do this, right? This is something I'm going to do a lot in 2024 is help industry push full and open opportunities down into the small world. But if you come in, you start seeing these opportunities, and I don't have time to dig a lot into it, but you can start seeing these opportunities and decide which one looks like it's a fit. So if I look at end date, and I'm just sorting this really quick, it's always fun when you go live onto one of these tools because one, you don't know if it's going to work, and two, you don't know if you go in the wrong direction. But I'm looking at opportunities. Let's say this one here in July, and I don't know what it is. Actually, this one here. I don't know what the work is, which is fine, right? I can refine this search down by NAICS code or keyword or agency, et cetera. Right now, I'm doing it pretty high, but I'm coming in and I'm looking in here and I can see, well, this one's a little higher, right? So it's aircraft. I guess I could have looked at it, but let's see what the work is. So here, molecular and environmental exposure threats. That might not be a lot of us, right? But the part I want you to pay attention to on how do you do this, right? And again, go back and watch the replay. I did the filter, and I'll show you the filter again in a second, but I did the filter. And what I want to do is to come down and see the competition detail. The minute I see this says 1, I'm going to back away because if there's only one offer received, something's odd and it's uphill battle for me. But if let me just change one thing really quick. What if I change the NAICS code to the type of work? So it's 54111. So let's come in here, 541511. Let's do 511 and 512. I'm going to search these guys again. There you go, 15. So I narrowed this way down, right? So here I'm looking at 15 opportunities. Here's one, vSolve. Familiar with that company out there. Here's RAF, another one. Oh, I think this one is SharePoint. Let me click this one because I might have actually looked at this before. So if I come down and I'm looking at this opportunity, it's actually a potential $40 million opportunity, right? Which is perfect. This should go to woman-owned small business. Okay, so this is a Cloud City 2.0. I can't remember it exactly, but when I come down, I'm looking here and I'm seeing it's got 8 offers, right? But it went full and open, no set aside used. This is what I mean by an unusual way of looking at opportunities that are expiring that went woman-owned small business. They're the primes, but they didn't actually get the set aside. They had to compete against billion-dollar firms. When you find opportunities like this, you can put them into your pipeline, and capture is about going and getting them, right? Capture is going and trying to change the government way of thinking. Okay, so let me try to cruise through these next few slides pretty fast because I always end at 12:30. And by the way, what I just showed you, sorry, I went really fast, but I said I would show you this one thing. Here is the filter. So fiscal year is 2021 and 2020 because I'm looking for expiring contracts. In FPDS, this is actually easier. You can look for contracts that went to the recipient of woman-owned. The award is 25 million or less. I did my NAICS codes, but the set aside, no set aside used, and full and open was what I was looking for. I could have a lot more opportunities if I got rid of full and open and I just said no set aside. But if you're a woman-owned small business, you want to pull opportunities into your world so that you're the one competing on it. Okay, so a big part of finding opportunities in the federal market, as any business, in particular women-owned small business, you need to know what your slam dunk opportunity is. And those, at its very core, are opportunities when you look at it, you go, we can win that. When anybody in your company looks at it, you go, oh, we can win this. This is ours. This is a slam dunk opportunity. If you don't know basketball, right? Slam dunk. Somebody can just jump up, put that ball straight in. And that's what you want your opportunities to be like. You can put it up and put it straight in for the win. The other thing is when you have slam dunk opportunities, it's important to have these because it ensures that you're investing on opportunities you can win, and you're not spinning your wheels on opportunities that you're not likely to win or you're pretty guaranteed not to win, right? I get this urge to respond to the government and say, hey, here's an opportunity. Let me respond to it. We can write a response, especially now with AI tools coming out. People are doing what I think is not a good idea, is they're responding using AI tools to opportunities that are not in their slam dunk. The advantage of using AI and what you're doing is it allows you to respond to more slam dunks. It allows you to get in there with a stronger and stronger response, but to your slam dunk opportunities, the ones you're guaranteed to win. You guarantee possibility to win, right? So in order to make a slam dunk opportunity or know what your slam dunk opportunity is or to find your slam dunk opportunity, it begins by having a clear, focused offer. In the past couple of days, I did trainings on this. You can go back and watch. But a clear, focused offer is one that when you say it, it's really clear about what you sell. So I might say, we do elevator services. Okay, that's a clear, focused offer. We do Microsoft 365 services with a specialty in SharePoint. I got it. That's not us. That is us. That's not me, but it's her. Let me introduce you, right? The idea of a clear, focused offer is you're saying, I do this one thing for these people in order for them to achieve this, right? I help these people this way achieve this result. You can think of it 3 different ways, but basically it's that hook that gets you on an elevator that allows you to go up. So clear, focused offer just is those 2 or 3 core competency words that I've had you put in. So when you have a slam dunk opportunity, you want to have criteria that makes it easy to look at your opportunities and say, is that a slam dunk? And so the first thing I say is size range, right? And by the way, sorry, this is not in order. This is just in making my bullets look nice. But the first thing you want to look at is the size the right size? If you're less than $1 million firm, you shouldn't be going after opportunities that are bigger than 5 million, right? If you're doing far less than $1 million, you should just be going after 500,000 or $1 million opportunities. If you're a $5 million firm, going after a $25 million opportunity is fair, especially since it's usually 5-year spread, right? But going after a $5 million a year opportunity when you're a $5 million firm, that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's totally fine. So somewhere in that range. It's really important you know what size contract should we go after. The second thing that I have here is which target agency. You need to know, are we going after DHS or HHS or Army, Navy? What you don't want to do is to say that we're going after the Army and then see a Department of Energy opportunity and swing over there. You're not going to be able to do a good job in your company when you keep doing that, because you're swinging back and forth and you're never really getting to know a customer, and they will know that you really don't care because you're not spending your time with them. If you're going to go into the Navy, just go into the Navy and take the time to find the opportunities. I get the whole squirrel, you see a shiny object over here, you see something that looks like it might be a fit for you, but you need to have a target agency. If you don't, you'll be bouncing around everywhere, competing with everybody instead of getting really good at the Navy or really good at Department of Education. Third one, make sure it matches your core competency. Obviously, this is the most important one. Make sure that your slam dunk criteria aligns to that clear focused offer. And the clear focused offer must say, hey, we do Amazon cloud services or cloud migration services. So then when you're looking at an opportunity, you go, well, that's not it. This is data analytics. That's not us. The problem we have is we sit there and don't have something written down on what our core competency match must be for a slam dunk opportunity. And when we see data analytics, we're like, well, maybe. I mean, that's kind of like, we could do that. Data is on the cloud, so let's rationalize it. You begin to rationalize it. And I swear you could eventually rationalize it to building airfields, right? So don't rationalize, really define your core competency. If it includes data, put data in this description. But once you have your criteria locked, lock it. That's how you move forward in success. And the last one is your slam dunk criteria. It must align to your experience and your past performance. So past performance obviously is what your company has. We've been paid to do this, in particular in the federal space. And experience is what you have and your team or your colleagues might have. We've done this around, right? If you don't have past performances, take time to find slam dunk opportunities as a subcontractor to build up those past performances as a sub that allow you to start building up small sub or small prime contract experience. But anyways, your slam dunk criteria, it must be defined. When you have it defined, then you're able to identify opportunities. I'm going to pick up speed here, and I might not get too far. In fact, strategic relationships, you can watch a whole nother training I think I literally did in the past couple of days where I expanded it. But the biggest thing about a strategic relationship, you can see right here on the wheel of success that strategic relationships lead to opportunities, right? So the first thing is that just what are strategic relationships? These are the people who are going to take your call. If you call the government, if you call a industry partner, they're going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Neil, how's it going? What do you need? They're not going to give me anything special. They're just willing to take my call. And if they had 3 friends just like me, they'd take all 3 of our calls. But that's a strategic relationship, is they will pick up the phone and talk with you. The second thing is, if you're on industry, they're meeting with you on a regular basis. Every 2 weeks, you're in a regular meeting. That's a strategic relationship. You're working together on opportunities. And so you'll hear about opportunities from them when they come into that bi-weekly meeting. The next thing is the value of strategic relationships. When you have them, you're going to hear about opportunities early. So you'll hear about it maybe from a teaming partner where they heard about it before you, or you hear about it from an agency person who says, oh, hey, Neil, watch for this. It's coming down the pike. We plan on getting a market research out soon. Or you can introduce the idea. So if you think about your agency strategic relationships, if you're in with the program office, you can be the one giving them the idea about where they might want to go. You can be talking about how they could use AI in their mission to do something else and help them begin to think about an idea, all completely above board. This is industry, government engagement, market research, right? Not the formal part, but the informal market research. Government needs to engage industry to see how they can accomplish their mission. It's your job to get in there, have these relationships so you can introduce ideas of how your company can help. Okay, sticking with how do you find opportunities, you really want to maximize your sources sought participation. And hopefully you're tracking on this already, but RFIs, requests for information, and sources sought, these are the 2 ways government reaches out to industry to engage about requirements they have before it moves forward in the acquisition lifecycle. So before it moves into an RFP, et cetera. You want to engage in that. Obviously you want to engage in that so you can win that particular opportunity, but let's think about this beyond that to finding other opportunities. When you respond to an RFI, you basically have just introduced yourself with the best possible light, right? Your response. in the best possible way. You've introduced yourself to the program office, to the contract office, to the small business office. These three key stakeholder groups are now aware of your company. They're aware of your willingness to help them. They're aware of your capabilities because of what you shared in there, and they're aware of any other ways of thinking about your company that you want them to think because of what else you put into the response. But mostly responding to sources sought and RFIs allows you to get in the doors that maybe you never could have got in because you couldn't find a name, number, and email. But now these people know of you, they'll reach back out to you. And so you're on their radar for future opportunities. When they're thinking about those new ideas, when they're thinking about RFIs that are going to come out, market research, I teach this all the time. The first place the government goes is incumbents, and the second place they go are people who responded to their last request. Hey, Neil, I know you responded to our last one. Are you interested in responding to this market research, or even interested in bidding on this opportunity, right? So you want to get on the radar of the program office, contracting office, and small business office. And one of the best ways is to participate in their market research efforts. Here's what I want you to remember from today, just tips on how you can find opportunities. The first thing is make sure you have a clear, focused offer. It is really clear that says, I help these people this way in order to achieve these results. The second thing is make sure you know your slam dunk opportunity. You've got criteria written down so that when you see opportunities, you just go to your slam dunk criteria checklist and you go check, 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 and you'll know that you're putting the good opportunities into your pipeline. Third thing is participate in those market research activities. You will endear yourself to the program office and the contracting shop by being a small business that participates in their market research. Hey, if you're interested in accelerating your growth with us, just go ahead and go to govconchamber.com. You can learn about how. For everybody, remember, government contracting, it's not a secret, it's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.